Hey, and welcome back. Today we are getting involved in the install of my RV AirFlow block. So a few things we want to do here, whether you're watching this, as this introduction is probably going to be used across both the how to measure video and how to install video, because the beginning stages are the same. So regardless of which video you're watching, the first thing we need to do is to strip down the base housing from this, and that'll give us access to do the measurements. Now, before I take this apart, because once I take this apart, I'm moving straight through the install, I did use my anemometer, velocimeter, velociraptor, whatever the hell you want to call this thing. I will link this below. This is a cheapie from Amazon, but it did the job great. So I went around and I measured all of the individual ducts, and I got my preliminary measurements down here, so I have accurate data to go on for my particular unit once I put this block in. But first, let's get this housing stripped down, and we'll get into then the two issues, one measuring and then the install, which I'll break apart to two separate videos, so these won't be as long. So the first thing is you take off your filter grates. Now I have these disposable filters. I didn't really like those washable ones that came with it. They never seem to wash up clean. These are disposables. I will link these below as well. These are RV Air, no relation to RV AirFlow. Pretty inexpensive. Once we put this block in, we're going to be utilizing almost this entire region for return as opposed to just these 4 inches. So it's critical that you get a good filter. These are like MERV 6. That's pretty decent. So let's get these taken off. There's going to be 4 screws that hold this bottom panel, and this bottom panel will be going back up post-install. The panel beneath this will not be. So we just have 4 screws. Zip them out. Your screws aside. Quick note about this. Once we install the new unit, these dumps will not be utilized. So I'm actually going to put some tape across the back of them to hold them shut, because we're now going to be using the whole area as a return. If you open these dumps, this will now just be unfiltered return, and you don't want unfiltered return because it's a bit of a job to get up in there and clean that coil. So put this aside. Next is this underplate, which seals off your return from your high side, your blowing supply side. So when we're removing this, for the sake of measuring, if you are just measuring, you would put this back on. For the install purposes, this is no longer needed. This is being fully replaced with that block. All right. Now that we have this open, this is your little divider that separates your high from your low side, however you want to phrase it here. But this is the separator dividing this into the evaporator and condensing sides of the AC. Both for measuring, just to make it easier, as well as the install. This needs to be removed. It's literally just wedged in there. There is nothing holding it. It's kind of just all pressure. So this segment here I'm going to cut out and make a separate video. Right now we're just going to be talking about measuring. So we have the plates off. We have our divider out. So this here is where your air is being blown down. You have your fan up here. This is the air, the forced air coming in. This is your return going back up. And there's a few areas they want to see measured before you order your unit that's going to work for you. So this unit here is a Coleman Mach 15. Up inside here, you can't probably really see it, but up inside here there's a little label right here. And it'll tell you your model number, your serial number, and on the bottom mine says Mach 15 AC. So this is how you'll know what unit you have. So the first measurement they want you to check is the depth of the plenum from here to here, top to bottom basically. And this measurement should be between 5 1/4 and 5 1/2. So I am 5 1/2 exactly to the inside of this metal lip. And this metal plate here will have to come down, and this is what's going to hold that block in place and bind top and bottom together. So from here to the top of this lip, I have exactly 5 1/2. The next measurement they want to see is the width. And when they talk about the width across underneath your supply, side to side. So they are saying that they would like to see 13 1/4 to 14 inches. Side to side, 13 3/4 rather. I misspoke on that one. And I have 14 exactly. And then they want to measure the dimensions of the duct themselves. So this opening here is the ductwork, and what they want to see is the opening being 1.5 inches by 7 1/2. So if I look at that opening, that's 1.5 inches. If I come down here, that is 7 1/2 on the money. So they're kind of your major ones. The other thing they want you to check is the height of where your opening is in your ductwork. So you go to the top of that ductwork to the bottom of this metal. I'm looking at just over 2 1/2, maybe 2 5/8. And their range that they want that to be 2 3/8 to 2 1/2. So let me do this again without letting the tape in. Yeah, I'm just at 2 1/2. So that block will work perfectly. This is the measurements that they want you to take to verify whatever block it is you need, that you have the right block. So again, we're measuring 14 inches under the supply area here. You're going to go left to right from duct to duct, basically. 14 inches. They want top to bottom, 5 1/2. The duct opening should be 1.5 inches by 7 1/2, and the duct height, top of the opening to here, should be 2 1/2. If you meet all those measurements, you should be good to insert an RV airflow. Again, double check what model AC you have. Look on the website, rvairflow.com, and go to that cross-reference for your particular model of AC, not necessarily your camper, but the actual AC you have, and see that everything is what you need.